Hi everyone, I'm Lisa, and I'm here today to welcome you to the Stewart tradition. The Stewart tradition is a Welsh, Celtic, Wiccan tradition based on Gardnerian and Alexandrian Wiccan traditions. In 1997, we were lucky enough to be able to purchase property at 180 Main Street in New Paltz, and this allowed us to have an outdoor space for our Sabbats and Esbat rituals. And we have really worked on growing our community, and we have a lovely group of people that are members of our tradition. And now some interesting things have happened, as you all know, over the past couple of years that have allowed us to kind of think outside the box, or outside the circle, if you will. So we still hold our gatherings. We do new moons and full moons, which are called Esbats. And we do the 8 holy days in the craft that are called Sabbats. And some 25 years later, we're still turning the wheel. And the pandemic kind of said to us, look, it's time to figure out how you're going to hold your community together during this pandemic. You cannot meet. What are you going to do? And I had spoken to several elders who didn't necessarily have public circles, and each one of them had kind of said to me, well, you know, our coven is just not getting together. It's not safe, and we're older, and we just don't feel comfortable. So certainly we're keeping in touch through emails and through phone calls, but we are not working magic together in person. I said, okay, but you know, now is the time that the people who are part of our community really are counting on community for support. So, old dog, new tricks. I learned how to Zoom. Are you kidding me, right? So, although a Zoom circle is not the same as being able to be in person, you know, it's still better than no circle. So we started Zooming our circles in March of 2020, and we are still Zooming many of them. We might not Zoom every single circle because somebody has to be responsible for the computer and making sure everybody is there and can see and, you know, turns it to the directions and all that kind of stuff. But we still are gathering for every new moon, every full moon, and every Sabbat, unless, of course, a new moon or a Sabbat, a new moon or a full moon falls on the Sabbat, and then Sabbat takes precedence. That's commonplace. All right, so what we've done is be able to accommodate a few more people and allow more people to join the tradition. We've also started teaching over the past 6 years. We have started teaching something called Coming Home to the Craft of the Wise, which is a course in Wicca, where we teach the history and our personal traditions history. We talk about all the people who founded the craft and just everything from start to finish. We talk about our pantheon. We talk about how to do magic. We talk about the moon. We talk about the Ogham. We talk about the Mabinogi. There's, you know, all kinds of things in this course, and I'll put a link to that course in the comments in my little comments below so you can see what I'm talking about. So over the 30 years that we've been in business, the Awareness Shop's been in business, we also started putting out full moon kits and other various spell kits, intention kits. So we have quick spells for like the big ones, money, love, prosperity, abundance, healing, protection, positive energy, those kind of things. We have little quick spells for those. And we have enchantments, which are little bags that you would carry with you that are enchanted with those intentions. And we also put out full moon kits that helped people to understand the cycle, the astrological cycle of the wheel of the year, how the moon was connected to the sun, and how the Sabbats are nestled in between these Esbats. And we came to really get pretty serious about that because there were a lot of people all over the world who wanted to be part of Craft of the Wise. During the pandemic, when we figured out how to Zoom, we had people in California and people in Wales, people in Canada, people from all over who had joined and were able to Zoom. And a lot of these people are solitary practitioners, but they would still like some guidance, from witch parents. And I certainly know that having a witch mother is a very, very valuable thing. Like I said, I was able to contact some of these craft elders and ask them their opinions on things. And, I don't bother them all the time, but I keep in touch. And when I have a big question to ask, I'm very blessed to be able to have the counsel of these elders. People like Janet Farrar, Kate West. And then I also have access to people who are working in the craft. So we decided that there were people all over that really wanted to take part in the community and in the spell work that we were doing and in the sympathetic magic of turning the wheel. So we created something called the Magical Year, where we offer kits, spell kits, and ingredients and information and correspondences and an outline for you to work your magic. So if you cannot be in a particular place at a particular time, meaning that you couldn't join our Zoom on Friday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, because let's face it, by then it's midnight in the UK, So we put together these kits with information that you can use as a solitary. So I'll put a link to what we call the Magical Year, again in the bottom, where you can decide if you want to just do new moons, maybe you like the cycle of setting intention, or whether you want to just do full moons because you like the energy of, kind of a carte blanche, kind of whenever you have need, once in a month, and better it be when the moon is full. Or if you want to do just Sabbats and work to turn the wheel with us, or if you'd like to do any combination of that, you could do new moons in Sabbats, full moons in Sabbats, full moons in new moons, or all three. So you can see those options when you click on the little link below. So it's a time where you can kind of come together in community and kind of work your magic in sync with the Stewart tradition, in sync with this community of people. And I will, as you'll be able to see, do a separate video every month for the Magical Year where I kind of go over the kits that you're going to get and give you that companionship of understanding the intention of the kit. And I think that it's really important that I should say, being a grumpy old witch mother sometimes, that no one should ever show up or perform ritual unprepared. And that's the idea of these companion videos each month. And people who aren't part of the kits can still tune in and look at what's happening for the month. You know, okay, what are the people in the Stewart tradition doing? Okay, they're doing this new moon, this full moon, it's this Celtic lunation, Celtic lunar zodiac, here's the connection for that Ogham, and here's what this Sabbat is about and what I'm doing. So you could just tune in, glean that information, and prepare your own ritual in your own tradition. But if you're going to be part of our tradition, we would love for you to have an idea of what's going to happen at the ritual. So we have these brochures at the shop, Eternal Circle, and it says, Merry Meet. For over 30 years, we have held teaching circles for Sabbats and Esbats. All of our gatherings are presented in the Stewart tradition, a Wiccan perspective of our Welsh Celtic pantheon. In March 2008, our circle was officially recognized as a church in New York State, and we have gone on to become federally recognized. We are a legal 501c3, the Church of the Eternal Circle. And whether you're a seasoned witch or a solitary, we would love for you to join in our magical gatherings. As preservers of the path, we are dedicated to our priesthood and work on growing it from within. So again, you could become part of the tradition, you could take Craft of the Wise, you could move up into court, and you could move on up into the priesthood. In this brochure, we have a schedule of all the gatherings. So I'll put a PDF of this in the link as well. So you can see, oh, look, coming up is the Pisces Alder new moon. I can be there at 7 o'clock, or I can Zoom at 7 o'clock if you live far away. Or I can't do any of those things, but I'm going to buy the kit and do it on my own. But the idea, again, is to not show up to a sacred space unprepared, right? You know, it's kind of like showing up at a very special party empty-handed. You would probably bring something for the host or hostess, or at least, you know, a little something to share. So we don't want you to come to ritual unprepared, even if it's just you're as a solitary working at home. So the outline of what happens at a ritual is we would smudge and bless everyone. So at home you could do incense or sage and salted water and kind of cleanse and clear and prepare yourself to do the magic. Then you would call the directions, and by that I mean you are calling the elements, the elementals, and the guardians of those watchtowers. I'll link to another video that explains all that. Then we call the god and goddess, and primarily we call Caridwen and Gwynapneith, but other times if it's a special holiday, we might also include a god or goddess from our pantheon, Welsh or Celtic pantheon, that is connected to that Sabbat. For example, Gwyl Mare, Gwalfraid, Breed's festival, we would probably honor Breed as well as our mom and dad, which are Caridwen and Gwynapneith. Then we do a public version of Chalice and Blade. So we wouldn't do the Great Rite per se. Obviously, that's something that's done in private by the leaders of the circle. But we do want to convey the understanding of form and force. So the blade is the force, and the cup gives it form. And through that, there is a creation of energy and magical energy that you could work with. Then we would do whatever the working is for the evening, whether it's a magical ritual with a focus, based on what's being offered astrologically, like again, Pisces and Alder. We might combine those two energies for ritual for the new moon. Or whether it's sympathetic magic that we would give the details of, again, for Imbolc or Gwyl Mare, thus we banish winter, thus we welcome spring. So we would do a working for that. Then in our tradition, in public circle, we would use cakes and ale to ground everyone after the magic. But again, with COVID, we are not really doing the cakes and ale part. We just have a little statement that we make regarding that. And then we would give thanks and kind of go backwards. We would thank the god and goddess, we would thank the directions, and then we would open the circle. We are limiting our circles to 30 participants. So whether it's a combination of Zoom or in person, 30 is probably all we can manage for personal magic. For example, we had not been having a ton of people come to new moons over, the pandemic. But things are really starting to open up. You can see that there's that lifting of the Mercury retrograde and there's that lifting of the Mars retrograde. And for our Rowan new moon, where we did Rowan berry, red thread, keep us safe from all dread, each person who was part of that group magic for the night was able to make themselves a red candle and dress it, and they were able to string red beads as rowan berries and receive part of this protection magic that Rowan offers. And we had 20 folks. So the magic went on for 20 people to be able to have their time at the altar. So we bring the Zoom people right up to the altar. We talk about, we call their name, we talk about them, and we prepare their item for them while they focus on preparing their item. And then they're put into little bags and people can pick them up, or we can mail them to them, upon their request. So we think that 30 people are all we're going to be able to manage at a public gathering. But that said, a lot of people can't show up at a certain time in a certain place, So we are absolutely offering the magical year as an alternative to that. So we invite you to come along and explore and be part of our circle. When you participate in Magical Year, you'll get a binder for you to build your Book of Shadows. And we tell people, write down what was successful for you, what you think you could do differently or better if you didn't have success. Write down how you felt during that ritual and just kind of keep your own little Book of Shadows in that binder that we give to you. Now again, you should never do ritual unprepared. So you should read through what comes to you for that kit. You should watch the video about that kit for pointers and tips beforehand. They'll be out when the kits go out. So the Magical Year kits go out the 25th of the month, or the 20th of the month prior to those workings. So last week, people would have gotten everything for February. They would have gotten their full moon, new moon, and Imbolc or Gwyl Mare kit. So if you want to learn our tradition, the outline of our circle, in the Magical Year kits, you can get a copy of something called Circle in a Box, which is the entire ritual with a musical background. Anton and I recorded this professionally with Cole Marshall in a studio, and you can really immerse yourself. It does all the things that I talked about. It calls the directions, it calls the god and goddess, it puts form and force together. It gives you 9 minutes for your magical working, and then it does all your thank yous and releases. So you could use that to set your magical space, and you can learn the words and participate. You can stand up and face the direction when we're calling the direction. Learn where the directions are in your sacred space. And again, be part of it. Let yourself be part of it so that you learn the mysteries. You're not just reading about that full moon in a book. Granted, information is good, but experience is better. So I hope this has helped you. Again, we would love for you to be able to come along to one of our public gatherings. And if you can't do that, we would love for you to be part of our community through the magical year. So have a look at that next video and decide if you want to invest in your spirituality and be part of the magical year. Again, you don't have to purchase the kits. You can watch the video and get an understanding of what's happening and what that Sabbat or those Esbats are about. All right. Thank you so much for hanging in there and watching this whole video. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. We're really working hard to build our channel. And again, please do check those links. There'll be a link to the magical year, a link to Got Deity in case you want to learn more about the Welsh Celtic pantheon, a link to the Church of the Eternal Circle in case you want to join that group, a link to the Craft of the Wise and what we teach in our Welsh Celtic Wiccan curriculum, a link to Circle in a Box if you'd like to buy that to do your solitary work to, and a link to Speaking the Language of the Craft of the Wise, and a link to how to set up a Wiccan altar. I think that covers it for this episode. Again, please do like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace and blessed be.